Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Skills and Abilities. Today we're going to be going over one of the weirder Javelin skills, which is known as Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt is a strange beast of an ability. I never really quite understood what they were trying to do with this ability because Lightning Fury is just so much better in like every regard that it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to even utilize Lightning Bolt, especially when you consider the fact that Lightning Fury does more damage than Lightning Bolt in the majority of all situations, whereas Lightning Bolt is barely doing very much at all. Now, I need to do a quick respec real quick. And the reason why we're doing a respec is because I do need Pierce with this. I don't want to give up my piercing. And let's go ahead and throw these in HP. So we're going to grab crit because I'm pretty sure crit works with this. So we're going to have at least a decent amount of crit. We don't have to worry about penetrate because the ability always hits. Lightning Bolt does not miss, and it also cannot be blocked, and it cannot be evaded, and it cannot be anything. Like, it's just like, okay, it just hits you all the time. Piercing, we do want piercing. Are we running a razor tail? We are not. So let's just go ahead and max out. Well, we can't. We might not be able to max it, but let's get it pretty decent here. Let's go ahead and grab our Lightning Bolt skill, which has a ton of synergies, by the way. Ridiculously large number of synergies. Four skill synergies is insane. So when we max out this, we're going to be maxing out Lightning Fury. Then we're also going to have to max out the other 3 skills, which we really don't have enough points to max out everything, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. But you'll see that it's really like a physical damage skill more so than it is an elemental damage skill, and we should be able to get a pretty decent amount of damage out of it. We might actually want to just 1 point these though. So let's just 1 point all of these, and let's just dig in to the lightning skills, just to really give this a fair chance, because it's not exactly a very good skill, and we are going to want to beef it up as much as possible. So we weren't able to completely max out Power Strike, which is 5 points away, which is unfortunate, but it's still pretty close to maxed out. We do have 61% crit strike, which is definitely going to help it out quite a lot since it does have a physical component. And then we have the 77% pierce, which should help it go through the targets. And we're looking at, even with F Titans, F upgraded Titans, mind you. At least I think they're upgraded. Yeah. We're looking at 1,000... Oops, wrong one. Wrong one. We're looking at 800 to 8,175 damage per throw, which is kind of decent, but it's also single targets. It always hits, so it is interesting in that regard that it always hits. But here's some issues with it. Notice my mana is just consistently going down and down and down. This is because it has no physical component whatsoever, and it is very similar in every regard to Berserk, which has no mana and no lifesteal. So when you're using this ability, you get nothing back. It does cost 16.5 mana per throw, and because it costs 16.5 mana per throw, you literally will run out of mana very quickly, unless you're utilizing something like meditation, or you have like a really large amount of mana after each kill. Just simply because you can toss these at insane speed, especially if you're running a increased attack speed build, and you will just burn through your entire mana pool in no time. Now, comparatively, if we were to look at the damage output of Lightning Bolt and compare it to Lightning Fury, you'll notice that Lightning Fury also has a physical damage component. So we have the 1,081 to 2,088 physical damage on the Lightning Fury itself. So when we throw Lightning Fury, we can still steal mana, we can steal life. We're actually hitting the target with a physical attack along with the lightning attack, which means we're doing about 5,000 damage per throw on the Lightning Fury. And then we also release more bolts from Lightning Fury also. So every single target that we hit releases another bolt, which does another 3,000 damage, and that 3,000 damage stacks up very quickly. So when you're fighting multiple targets, it doesn't really make much sense to use Lightning Bolt pretty much ever, because multiple targets means multiple bolts, which means a much faster kill in general. Whereas Lightning Bolt has no mana steal, and it only hits the targets in a straight line. And damage-wise, it definitely is inferior to Lightning Fury. And keep in mind that this is with pretty much the highest damage output weapon that a Javelin can use. So when you're leveling up your character, like if you're just playing along and you're trying to actually have some fun, despite the fact that Lightning Bolt is a very low-level skill and can be gotten relatively early in the game, it will do basically nothing, because not only is it based off of your weapon's damage, with a 75% weapon damage penalty, by the way, any weapon that you put on at a low level is going to be absolutely pathetic in terms of its conversion. So you're going to get practically nothing from it at a low-level character. The only reason I even have this much is because I'm running Might on the Mercenary. I have the freaking Conviction Aura from Infinity. I'm using an F upgraded Titans, and even with all that, I'm only at about 8k per throw, which honestly isn't even that amazing. And if we throw in the crit strike, we are looking at double the physical damage, not double the elemental damage, which our physical damage is currently... we have to take off things that give us elemental damage. So we've got... Of course, we can't do that without losing our... let's see, what are we losing? The dex. Trying to get our pure physical damage here real quick. We have any other charms giving us elemental damage? We're still blue for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't see anything giving us elemental damage at all. I wonder why it's blue. But basically we have about 1,740 physical damage, right? Well, the thing is that the weapon penalty is being applied to this, so we're at 75% weapon penalty. And then the crit is being applied to the penalty, which is giving us maybe like an extra 1,000 damage, like if that. And so we're talking about literally only about 1,000 extra damage if we crit. So it goes from 8,188 to like 9,188 if we get a crit. So it's not even as good of a modifier as you would think. So it's a cross-purposed ability because it has this really high lightning damage effect, which can be affected by things like Griffin's Eye Diadem, which has plus lightning skill damage. You could also be wearing like a lightning skill Ormus robe or something like that. Lightning facets, just in general, can also increase the lightning damage. But at the end of the day, you have two mechanics. You've got the physical damage to do, and then you've got the lightning damage on the ability. And which one do you improve? Do you improve the physical damage, or do you improve the lightning damage? And either one that you improve is going to reduce the other. So as soon as you start putting on things like Fortitude, you start putting on things like a Phoenix Shield and all that other stuff, and your physical damage goes up, then the elemental damage is going to come down because you are taking off things that give you plus to skills. You are taking off things that give you facet slots that are going to actually make it so that the lightning damage goes up. And so it just doesn't really work out very well. If I was to fix this skill, one thing that I would definitely do is reduce the mana cost on this tremendously. Probably down to something like 4 or 5 mana per throw. On top of that, I would remove the weapon damage penalty completely. There are too many abilities in this tree that are better than this ability by far. Lightning Fury is by far superior to Lightning Bolt. Charge Strike is by far superior to Lightning Bolt. And so honestly is Lightning Strike. superior to Lightning Bolt in just about every way. This ability really doesn't do anything special that that makes it need that penalty. On top of that, there is also a wide variety of bonuses that are not applied with Lightning Bolt, and this is very interesting. So magic damage does not get applied with Lightning Bolt. Fire damage, cold damage, poison damage do not get applied with Lightning Bolt. Lifesteal and Mana Steal do not get applied with Lightning Bolt. Chance to cast on attack does not get applied with Lightning Bolt. And on top of all this, Prevent Monster Heal also does not get applied with Lightning Bolt. So basically, Lightning Bolt applies next to nothing in terms of any of the things that you might have on your character. Like if you were wearing an Atmos Scarab or something like that, and you were hoping for an amp damage proc, or maybe you were utilizing, something that has like a lightning effect or a fire effect. It doesn't really matter. None of these things are actually applying to the monsters. And also, lightning skill damage only applies to the skill damage itself, and not to anything else that you might have on your character. So for instance, if you were utilizing charms that added additional lightning damage, the lightning skill damage, for some reason with this ability, does not apply to the actual charms and only applies to the effect of the ability itself. There's so many restrictions on this ability, and I can't really figure out why the hell there's so many restrictions on it. For an ability that basically no one uses, by the way, this ability just has a multitude of restrictions placed on it, including the fact that, number one, it has no physical damage component, which is a big detriment in terms of any ability. At least with Berserk, when you're playing a Barbarian, which is probably the only analog ability that completely converts all physical damage into elemental damage, at least with Berserk, you're looking at an ability that hits like a Mack truck, right? So like if you build a Berserk Barbarian, you might only hit one target at a time, but at least you are just like absolutely demolishing that target out of existence when you do hit him. And it's magic damage too, so you don't have to worry about immunities, you don't have to worry about negative resistance. I mean, Berserk is an amazing ability on its own for its specific purposes. Lightning Bolt doesn't even compare. Number one, it's lightning damage. Number two, it seems to like not really have a good conversion rate because of that 75% weapon damage. So even if I was doing decent physical damage, it doesn't convert over well to the lightning side of things. And the lightning damage that it has on it isn't insanely high, especially when you consider things like Charge Strike and Lightning Fury that have insanely higher lightning damage for a lot less work. Charge Strike, for instance, is 1 to 8,056 with 11 bolts. So 8,000 times 11, it's like 88,000 damage for one attack. It's absolutely insane. Whereas Lightning Bolt is at maximum 8,188. Even if we say that all the hits crit, it's 9,000. And even if you have all the monsters lined up in a row so you can pierce 5 times, it's 9,000 times 5. That is the most damage that Lightning Bolt could ever potentially do, is 9,000 times 5, which is about 45,000 damage. In comparison, Charge Strike does 8,000 times 11, which is 704,000 damage. So literally 64,000 damage versus hold on here, let me redo my math here. 88,000 damage, my bad. So 88,000 damage versus 64,000 damage. And this is going to do 88,000 damage on a single target, pretty much guaranteed. Whereas if you have a single target with Lightning Bolt, it's only going to do 8,000 damage. It's not going to do 64,000 damage. You need a group of monsters lined up for you just right to get that damage output. And Lightning Fury, which is the other ability, can out DPS it by miles. So like if we take Lightning Fury as an example, Lightning Fury currently does 2,992 damage. assuming there were 5 monsters in the same scenario that Lightning Bolt has 5 monsters. So we were piercing through 5 monsters with 44 bolts, which actually only does 5 bolts. So if there's 5 monsters, we're just saying just 5, then it will release 5 bolts. So it will pierce through 5 times, dishing out 5 bolts, which will all hit all of the targets. So we're looking at 2,992 times 5 times 5, which is 74,800 damage. So Lightning Fury is still going to out DPS Lightning Bolt, even in Lightning Bolt's most optimal scenario, assuming a crit on every single target. And it just doesn't have any advantage. It's not good. It's not better in single target because that's Charge Strike. It's not better in AoE because that's Lightning Fury. And it just fills no gap. It doesn't do anything except for consume stat points to beef up Lightning Fury with a little bit of extra damage. I think I've covered this ability enough. I don't think there's anything else we can go over. As always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.